Hi, what I have here on Workbench today is an HMC833 23.5 MHz to 6 GHz RF signal generator. I requested this board from Banggood, and I will leave a link in the video description below for those who are interested. Anyway, the reason I wanted to take a look at this board is that most hobbyists probably don't have the budget getting a dedicated RF signal generator that operates into the gigahertz range. But sometimes you do need a signal source that can provide such high-frequency signals. So I looked around on the internet and found this board that claims to be able to generate between 23.5 MHz all the way up to 6 GHz. And it's relatively cheap. It costs just above $40 shipped. There's not much information about this board. This is actually all I received. But because it's based on the HMC833, we can infer some of the capabilities from the datasheet. The HMC833 is a fractional-N PLL chip with integrated VCO, and it operates from 25 MHz to 6 GHz, which not surprisingly matches the frequency range of this board. Although the HMC833 is reaching the end-of-life status, genuine ones don't come cheap. Given the price of this board, I'm not sure if the part is counterfeit or not. But regardless, let's take the price point into consideration when looking at its performance. The HMC833 has built-in output power control from 0 dB to 9 dB in 3 dB steps. The output, though, is not leveled, so the actual output power is somewhat dependent on the output frequency. For instance, according to the specifications, the output power is roughly 3 dBm at 3 GHz, but drops to -7 dBm at 6 GHz. Now you get a rough idea of what the HMC833 is capable of. Let's actually take a look at this board. This RF board can be powered by either USB-C or LiPo cell, and the power source can be switched via the switch here. Now, I have seen variations of this board on the market. Some of the board, for example, does not have this portion of the circuitry populated, so it can only be powered by USB-C. But this specific board can be powered by either power source. The charger controller here is a 4056. Down towards the middle, we have this CHG USB to UART interface chip, so presumably this board supports UART communication as well. But there is no documentation on that, and it was not recognized by the computer when plugged in. So I'm actually not entirely sure what this chip is used for here. Further down here, you can see that we have a STM32F103 ARM Cortex microcontroller with serial wire debugging programming header here, and also we have a UART header right here. Finally, up here, we have an HMC833 and its supporting circuitry. And of course, here we have a color LCD in the middle. Now we do have a few buttons here that supports the operation of this board. All right, let me power it on and take a look at output on an oscilloscope. So let me plug in the USB. I'm not sure if you see that, but the splash screen did say that it supports UART communications. I'm not sure why it didn't show up on my Linux machine earlier. UART port would typically show up as a TTY USB port. Anyway, the board has two outputs. One is a fixed frequency and fixed amplitude 50 MHz output, and this one essentially operates at the crystal oscillator's frequency. And the other port is the synthesizer output. So let's actually first take a look at the 50 MHz output. Let me connect it. And let's acquire the signal. And here we go, you can see the signal looks pretty decent. By the way, like most of the RF circuitry, the output impedance is 50 ohm. And I had already configured the oscilloscope input impedance to 50 ohm so that we have the correct impedance match. Let me just show you here. You can see that we set input as 50 ohm. So that you can see the 50 MHz output, although not perfect, it is reasonably good. No issues here. Let me just zoom in briefly. I will show you what is captured on the scope here. You can see that, I'm not sure how well you can see. Let me just try to focus. And you can see that the frequency captured is almost exactly 50 MHz, and this is actually by the hardware counter of the oscilloscope. Now let's actually take a look at the main output. The first thing we're going to look at is this point mode. So let's enter. And let me actually reacquire the signal. Let me move a little bit closer so you can see the screen better. Anyway, in this mode, the output frequency is actually fixed. To begin with, let's actually start with 25 MHz as what is shown here, as that's the lowest frequency specified for the HMC833. Even though we could go a little bit lower on this module, I think the lowest output specified for the board is 23.5 MHz. The waveform back there is certainly not the greatest, But I suspect this is probably because we're at the lowest end of the output frequency range, and there's quite significant distortion here. Let's see actually if this is input impedance related. So let's actually come back here and let's change to 1 meg. Nope, you can see that the waveform essentially is the same. So let's go back to 50 ohm. All right, so now let's actually increase the output to 50 megahertz. And by the way, the user interface is actually very easy to operate. All you need to do is move to the digit you want to change. Let's say 25, I want to change to 30. And now I want to change to 50. That's required signal here. And now we're at 50 megahertz output. And the waveform still doesn't look ideal. By the way, you can probably see here the current output level we set is at 3 dBm. Although, as I mentioned earlier, this is actually not really dBm, it's just the attenuation in relative terms. Whoever programmed the firmware probably didn't read the datasheet carefully enough. So this is actually a little bit misleading. When it says, for example, 3 dBm, it doesn't really mean the output is 3 dBm, which I will show you in just a little bit. But nevertheless, the output can be adjusted. You can see here, we can come down here, and we can adjust up to 9 dB and go down to 0. So that's the range you can adjust. So let's keep increased output frequency here. Let's do 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. Let's reacquire. The output waveform actually looks pretty good once we get above a few hundred megahertz. Now currently the frequency of the waveform is 500 megahertz. One thing I do want to point out is the importance of the 50 ohm termination. You can see that the waveform actually looks pretty decent right now with a 50 ohm input. Watch what happens if I change the oscilloscope input impedance to 1 meg ohm. So I come back here, I change to 1 meg ohm, and you can see that the signal quality actually dropped quite a bit when I switch to the 1 meg ohm input impedance. And the waveform is jumping all over the place. It's actually no longer stable. And that's because the signal is actually partially reflected back at the 1 meg ohm end. So for this kind of high frequency measurements, impedance matching and proper termination are absolutely required. Anyway, let's change it back to 50 ohm. And you can see now we get a stable signal. Now let me further increase the output frequency to 1 gigahertz, which is the limit of the oscilloscope. And now you can see we are at 1 gigahertz. And the reason the waveform looks like a sinusoidal, and by the way, it's actually not a sinusoidal, you can see the top is wider, the bottom is narrower, and that was the shape of the clock waveform to begin with. Anyway, the edges look rounded because all the harmonics are beyond the range of this scope and are greatly attenuated. So you're pretty much left with the bass tone. And if you look really carefully, you can probably see some of the jitter on the waveform here. Let's try to increase the frequency a little bit more. 1.2, 3, 4, 5. And you can see, of course, the amplitude starts dropping significantly, and that's because we're exceeding the bandwidth of the oscilloscope. Anyway, now let's take a look at the sweeping capability here. So to get back to the menu, I press the middle button here. And you can see we actually have a few modes. One is sweep mode, and the other is sweep set. So the sweep mode and sweep set actually work hand in hand. To set the sweep mode, let's first take a look at the set. And let's go down. You can see currently we are running at a step of 1 megahertz with a dwell time of 15 milliseconds. So let's keep that and let's take a look at the sweep. So we'll go back and let's go to the sweep mode. So right now you can see actually we started sweeping. Let's try to reduce the time base here. And we have the start frequency of 100 megahertz, stop frequency of 200 megahertz. The mode is circular, means it does it over and over again. And we can change the mode here. Let's come down. It's hard to see the cursor here, but now we're on the circular. So we can change it to single. So I assume single means once you are done, yep, it actually stops. Okay, so let's do circular. And the next parameter is on and off. So we can turn it on and turn it off. Yep, it works quite well. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change the stop frequency to a little bit higher. So let's come up here. Let's say we want to change it to 1 gigahertz. And of course, this is going to be very slow. So let's go back and let's change the set. Actually, let's do the step 10 megahertz. And let's come down. The dwell time, we'll change it to, let's say, 10 milliseconds. So this would allow us to sweep faster. Let's do the sweep mode. I'm going to turn it on. And now you can see that we're sweeping at a much faster rate. Remember what I told you earlier. Although you can set output power on the board and the output power appear to be dBm, but that's actually not the actual output power. And you can see that from the power meter here. So back there, I have my WaveTech 1045. Currently it's measuring roughly 2.2 dBm. And you can see on the board, we're setting it to 1 gigahertz and 9 dBm. So if I come down here, let's actually reduce it. 9 dBm, let's reduce to 6, 3, 0. Yeah, you can see we sort of have this 9 dB range in the output power, but it's definitely not matching the dBm reading here. So let's keep it to 9 dBm, and let's actually change the frequency here. So let's go down to, let's say, 900 megahertz, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So now you can see that at 100 megahertz, the output power is actually at 4 dBm at its highest. So let's reduce it, let's say to 0. Again, we have roughly 9 dBm range in the output power. Now I'm using my HP5350B to verify the output frequency here. And you can see right now we're setting at 500 megahertz and it's displaying pretty much exactly spot on 500 megahertz. And let's start increasing it because we can increase all the way up to 6 gigahertz. So let's actually take a look whether or not we can capture that. Now the angle is a little bit odd, so you can probably just be able to see the frequency counter. And let's actually increase the frequency here. So 600, 7, 8, 9, 1 gigahertz, no problem. So let's do that 1 gigahertz at a time, 2 gigahertz, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you can see that we can output 6 gigahertz with no problem. I'm actually now curious at 6 gigahertz what output power is. So let me actually measure that. And you can see that at 6 gigahertz, the output is greatly attenuated. Right now we're supposed to be 3 dBm. Again, as I said, that's not dBm. That's just attenuation. And the output is only minus 21 dBm. So let's go down here and let's change that. So let's change it to the highest. You can see that the highest output at 6 gigahertz is really just around minus 20 dBm. So let's go down, let's adjust the frequency here. Let's get a rough idea. When we go down to, let's say, 5 gigahertz, it's minus 15, 4, minus 12, 3, minus 6, 2. So at 2 gigahertz, the maximum output power is roughly 0 dBm. And of course, back to 1 gigahertz. At 1 gigahertz, we saw that before, the maximum output power is right around 2.5 dBm. Finally, let's take a look at the signal on the spectrum analyzer. Currently, I'm outputting a 100 megahertz signal, and you can see on the spectrum analyzer, the center frequency is 100 megahertz with a frequency span of 1 megahertz. The resolution bandwidth is 10 kilohertz. And you can see the signal is definitely not very pure because we have significant skirt around the center frequency here. And that's due to the synthesizer and the jitter that we saw earlier. And now we're outputting 1 gigahertz. You can see here the frequency span remains 1 megahertz, and also the resolution bandwidth is still at 10 kilohertz. You can see that the signal quality had definitely deteriorated. And finally, I increased the frequency all the way up to 6 gigahertz, and you can see that the spectral purity definitely had dropped significantly, and you can see this is no longer a sinusoidal, as it has this rather wide skirt, and the peak is no longer prominent. And here I'm sweeping between 100 megahertz and 2 gigahertz. What I want to show you is the harmonics and also some of the spurious signals you can see show up on the spectrum here. Because the output is a square wave, harmonics are to be expected. Now let's actually take a look at the spectrum as I increase the output 100 MHz at a time. Currently is at 200 MHz, and you can see the peak here. That's actually the bass tone of the 200 MHz. So let's increase it. So let's do 300, 400, and you can roughly judge the purity of the signal by looking at the spectrum here. 500, 600, 7, 8, 9, 1 GHz, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, 1.9, and 2 GHz. The performance of this RF generator is more or less what I had expected. You definitely cannot compare the output signal quality to a proper RF generator like my HP8642B. But you are able to generate the desired frequencies with relatively good accuracy, and you can also adjust the output amplitude. It still can be quite useful. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, please remember to give it a big thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more videos like this in the future. Your participation makes videos like this possible. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.